Hi guys, it's Mark Zickery. You may know me as Mr. Sci-Fi via my Mr. Sci-Fi channel, or Mark Zickery of Space Command, or many of the other things I've done and been over many a year. But also I have my own YouTube channel called Mr. Politics. I don't post very often on that because busy life, doing a lot of stuff, making TV shows, making movies, etc., writing a book here and there. But my Mr. Sci-Fi fans asked me not to be political on that channel, and I have adhered to that. But of course, it's incumbent upon all of us, I think, to speak out against the wrongs being done in this world by our own lights, to speak our truth, if it is a compassionate truth, if it is a truth that includes people rather than excludes them, etc. So, we're 6 weeks in on Trump. He's done many appalling and outrageous things, many things that no one has ever done before in that office. And he just gave his State of the Union address. And I just wanted to kind of connect the dots as I see them a little bit, because I've been studying on this, and again, you probably will have a very different opinion, and you have a right to your opinion, but just chew on this a little more, because right now we live in a time where now seems to be all that really exists, and the past is erased very quickly, and memory is erased very quickly. I think that's a mistake. I think it's very important to read history and read parallels from previous societies and so on. But here's my take on all of this. A good question for all of us to ask ourselves is, well, two questions actually. What do I stand for? What do I actually stand for? And secondly, what kind of world do I want? And not the larger world, but the immediate world. So for instance, for myself, I stand for compassion, I stand for kindness, I stand for inclusivity. I want a world where people aren't afraid because of who they are. So in other words, if you're Palestinian, if you're black, if you're trans, as long as you're not doing harm to others, you should be allowed to have a full and rewarding life. You should be treated like everyone else. And obviously, if you're harming others, that's a different story. The guys who did the atrocities in Israel on October 7th, I guess it was, they deserve to go to prison, to have justice meted out to them for their atrocious actions, but not everyone else in Gaza, not the 2 million people who had nothing to do with those actions. So, anyway, but the thing I want to mainly talk about is, you may have noticed that lately President Trump has pissed off and turned against all of our allies, has aligned with our previous enemies, and has driven a stake through the heart of the alliance that has held firm since the end of World War II. Now, some people, naive people I think, might say, well, that's just because he's a wild card and doing what he thinks is best for America. I don't think that's what's happening at all. Certainly he and Elon Musk want to raid the money that we've all put into the system via paying our taxes, such as Social Security taxes. They want to steal that. They want to reach into our pockets and take that money for themselves. Well, that's just plain old-fashioned greed. Nothing new about that. But, they're basically dismantling our country. They're impoverishing our nation. They're stopping basically every good that's done here and abroad, they are turning off. And why is that? Well, here's what I think is actually going on. I think, people talk about what a brilliant deal maker Donald Trump is. He's far from that. He is anything but that. If you study his career, he's declared bankruptcy a number of times. He's screwed people out of their wages a number of times. And when he was the star of The Apprentice, they had to basically create a fictional version of him as a success, because he was actually going through bankruptcy, I believe, at that time when the show started. So he's a fraudulent man, and a very unbalanced man. But more importantly than that, I personally believe that he is a Russian intelligence asset, that he is firmly in the pocket of the Russians. And here's how that was done. In the 80s, he started going to Russia. He was given monies and teamed up with oligarchs who lavished him with funds that he needed at the time. But also more than that, I believe he was staying in a hotel. The KGB or or whatever they're called now were spying on it, setting up honey traps where people would be in uncomfortable sexual situations. They'd be recorded and then blackmailed, utilizing those files. So I think that's what's happened. I think via a mixture of bribes and blackmail, they got Trump to basically act as their agent to destroy our country. And that is what is happening now. Because certainly changing sides in the Ukrainian war to Putin's side serves Russia, doesn't serve us particularly well. Taking all of the major programs that do good in the world, that stop illness, that stop hunger, that stop poverty, and turning those off turns people around the world against America. That doesn't help America, that helps Russia. Again, on and on and on. The destruction of our civil rights, the handing over the revenues of America to greedy billionaires. All of this destroys our country, weakens our country, and makes Russia get exactly what it wants. Gives Russia the keys to the car of this nation. So you may well disagree with me, but I feel very strongly this is what's happening, because clearly Donald Trump is not acting in the interests of this country, but he's acting very strongly in the interests of another country, one that does not wish us well, one that is not looking for us to flourish or have good lives, one that is looking to shatter us, shatter Europe, weaken everyone in favor of them. So that's my thought for the moment. And again, I just wanted to put it out there and say that, because you may feel overwhelmed by these times, you may feel overwhelmed by what's happening. But what I would say is, in your own life, in your personal life, be kind. Don't get into shouting matches with people. Be kind, compassionate, actively generous and charitable. And if there's protests, go to those protests. If there's politicians you can support them. These town halls recently where people have been very upset, those aren't Democratic plants, for God's sake. They're American citizens who don't want to lose the money they've been putting into the system for decades they expect to retire on. They don't want to lose the services that they enjoy in this country. This is not a country where overt greed and corruption should be the dominant features. This is a country where kindness and possibility should be the order of the day. I believe in the American people. I love the variety of people that I meet in this country. If you go to Sweden, there's a kind of person who's Swedish, and then there's a kind of person who's not. And that's true of many countries around the world. In America, an American can look like, sound like, be like anything from anywhere in the world. And because that's what America is. America is where you come to reinvent yourself. America is a place where you can come to rise, to change your lot, to have possibility. That's the American dream. People don't talk about the British dream, the Swedish dream, the Russian dream, because that doesn't exist in the same way. America is a self-defined country, and it's a democracy. And these are things that I enormously value. The immigrants are not your enemies. They are yourselves a few decades later. If my grandfather hadn't come here, he joined the American forces in World War I. He fled from Russia and Poland. And if he hadn't done that, everyone else in his family was wiped out by Hitler. My mother would not have been survived. My aunt wouldn't have survived. It would have been a very different story for us. I would not be here talking about this. Genocide is a real thing, and we must fight it everywhere it occurs, whoever's doing it. The powers of self-interest, the powers of selfishness and greed, the powers of violence, the powers that wreak havoc and take people's lives and hope and safety we have to oppose those in every way we can. And the way you oppose it is with love, with charity, with kindness, with inclusivity. People don't have to be exactly like me. They don't even have to have the same opinions I have for me to welcome them to the table. There's plenty of room. America is abundant. And I suggest all of us be a little kinder, a little less prone to argument, and not let people pick our pockets when they're doing it in broad daylight. And that's it for now. So, Mr. Politics, Mr. Sci-Fi, I bid you an adieu for now, but happy to talk further, and that's it for now. Bye.